That's right. This is the big thing. Like the neighbors are looking at what the neighbors sold for.
Yeah.
Even 2 months ago is too long.
Yeah.
Right.
That's exactly what happened.
Hmm.
An acre sold for 1.6. Same house.
I've got an article here I'll talk about a little bit here in case I forget it though, but there's properties in Brampton. Brampton, the property's average price for all properties, all type, and Brampton's like anywhere else in the city, but Brampton's in all types. In October, the average price was less than $1 million, like 900 and let's say 80,000. It has not been that low in Brampton since 2021. There's not been that low in Brampton since 2021. So we've actually gone back to 2021 prices. Forget about 22 prices. We're back to 2021 prices even before that. But anyways, we got these articles, but we'll see here. So last week we did the new phone system. I haven't heard anything negative yet.
Is that because no one's using the phones?
Times have changed, okay? Like back in the old days, back when Elio and I were teenagers, we'd have like over 120 phones and people were phone calling all the time. That was the way you made business. Your phone call, and we had phone numbers, you had landlines, you had all, and that's what we did. So everybody had phone systems, all kind of systems here. But now, in the last 10 years, the phones almost disappeared.
Well, they didn't. They're just different. They're just here now.
They're here, I guess, right? But I get calls saying, well, there's no phone numbers, but there's lots of phone numbers out there. Just just not all of them. How can I rephrase that? Somebody does a search for phone numbers on a street, and only 50% come up because the other 50% have landlines, right? And what we hear back is sometimes is from the agency, well, we don't have all the phone numbers. Okay, well, how about just phone the 50% we have?
Better than zero.
You follow me? Just phone with what you have. You can't do anything. You can't change it. So there's 50%. Phone them.
50 is no and one phone.
So
Right.
25%.
So now you got 25. So phone the 25. Right. And a lot of people I'm aware of, well, a lot of people, not gonna say anymore. So we did the phones. I think we're okay, and then so now we've finished them all. So.
They're all finished. All offices all done.
It is working. That's why this
Seems to be.
Today will be a good test because there's a lot of people in the office. So if it's going to go down, it'll be today when the internet's overloaded because they run on the internet now. So.
Another thing happened last week, and again, I'm going off. I'm not going in a particular order here. I'll repeat it in a minute here. But we had the vote for the wellness program, and the vote came in favor of the insurance, in favor of the wellness plan. And I'll give you my opinion what I think, but the Toronto was the kingpin. Toronto has like more votes than anybody else. Toronto has like 76,000 agents, and the whole of Ontario has 90,000. So Toronto, way Toronto votes is Toronto, way Toronto goes. Fortunately, want to start this?
I think you should let them know. Yeah.
Let them know what I think.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. So if you check out the voting, I'm not sure. I don't care either way. I mean, the vote's there, and it's we are, and we're a democracy, so you go with the majority. But TREB did that survey, and the survey came out, and what did they say? 76,000 agents in Toronto Real Estate Board. 40,000 voted, which means let's say 50% voted. And when you guys went on Toronto MLS, what was the first thing you had to do?
Yeah,
you had mandatory.
Yeah.
70, let's say 80,000 agents in Toronto Real Estate, 40,000 voted means 40,000 never logged in during those 7 days. They never even logged in.
But 40,000 voted yes, sorry.
Of the 40,000 that voted, 50-50. They half wanted, half didn't want it. So what TREB decided is that they're going to split their vote. So rather than all 76 votes saying yes or all 76,000 votes saying no, they split it. So they said. But if you read the results results were, I'm guessing the numbers here, 59% or 59 votes said no. 79 or 75, 72, let's say, 73 said yes. But here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. 29 were abstained. In other words, they didn't vote. They were there, but they didn't vote. So here's my problem. We complained about you guys saying, well, who voted that? Who voted this? How'd that happen? And I've always said to you guys, we voted people to vote on our behalf. right? And so 29 people that we vote on our behalf decide not to vote. Had they decided to say no, then we wouldn't be talking today about this fee. But they decided not to vote at all.
Well, in my opinion, let's decide.
So this thing was done when did they decide? Monday? No, Thursday?
Wednesday.
Wednesday? This morning you got your bill.
Yeah.
Wow. You think this is all set up before? You think they already had it was already done. Everything's already done. And they said, look, we spent so much money on this, we can't kill it. 29 people don't vote, and we'll get this thing through. Push that button, we're done. That's my conspiracy theory.
That's not a conspiracy, Jessica.
Claire doesn't talk a lot about conspiracy theory.
I'm not much a conspiracy theorist, but I just, what bothers me is that you vote somebody to vote for your behalf and they don't vote. I don't care if they had said yes or no, but not vote. I have a problem with that. Anyways,
That building now, I'm the first one to do that thing.
Maybe.
so you got your invoices today. If you're a old person, your bill was 1871. If you're not an old person, your bill is $1,900 and some dollars, almost $2,000. 1996. It's good news. Bad news is it's 1996. Good news is you don't have to pay it to January 15th.
They extended it. We already said that, January.
Sorry, Jeff. Who's the provider? I have no idea. Who's the provider for the insurance company? I want to say Canada Life.
Oh, yeah.
Or Emmanuel Life. Well, it sounds like Manual Life has a memory. I sort of remember something back in my head about Manual Life.
That's your buddy there. That's Chad's buddy.
And then the other thing that happened last week was somebody sent an email that says, who the heck's this TRESA person?
Teresa.
Or Teresa
Who's
person.
Teresa?
Who's this Teresa person that keeps on bugging me? Teresa. Who's Teresa?
He was joking.
This was from the 40,000 people that never logged in.
He was.
It was a joke. Come on, it was a joke. Anyway, so TRESA, we're here. So, and I'm going to go through TRESA stuff. I'm going to spend most of the time talking about TRESA stuff. So that's it, just so everybody's clear. At the end of the day, did anything change? Nothing changed? December the 1st? Like, we're all still here? Real estate still here?
Still doing open houses, still doing showings.
Still doing showings. We've got Vran here. Vran, you see things busy at all at your place? And quite busy. See, so Vran's at the very beginning. So these are people going to him for pre-approvals. So you got to listen to what he's saying so that you can pass it on to your client. So everything can be negative if you want, but here's positive news, right? Because what? Why are people sort of going right now to get pre-approvals?
I think that a lot of the realtors in the past I talked to, they know that it's a spray. You just want to use the window to get into the market, so who are kind of on the edge, and get into the market right now before the prices go.
So you hear what he's saying? So there's projections out there saying that the interest rates may be coming down in the first quarter. And before we're talking about the third quarter, but now we're talking first quarter is what I'm reading. So people want to get qualified today because they're afraid there's going to be a whole bunch of buyers that will come into the market and jack prices up again. You follow? This is what you just said, right? You follow that logic? Your buyers should think about buying sooner than later because as soon as they reduce the prices, okay, when did, and was it 2020, not March, was it April? May of 2020, they reduced the interest rates and the market took off. So if they reduce the rates again in the first quarter, then these buyers are concerned that the prices will take off again. So if you've got buyers sitting on the fence, you might want to tell them to think about selling sooner than later.
What's gonna happen in December?
December's gonna wash, so wash. December is just maintenance. December you're gonna talk to your clients and get your calendars out and do what you have to do. It's gonna be pretty,
Well, I'm talking about government. Are they gonna include it?
government's not gonna do anything.
They're going to post it.
Post it?
Yeah, the government's finished right now. Yeah, finished. Okay, so let's go into the numbers here and then we'll get into TRESA. So as of December last night, December 3rd, there's 17,800 active listings. Last week when we talked, there were 19,000. So we've dropped 1,200 listings have dropped in the last 7 days. Sales themselves this year versus last year, they're actually -3%, might as well be the same. Condominiums are -7% and freeholds are -1%. This will be for the month of November. We haven't got the November numbers yet, but they're going to come in around that number unless Trev fools around with the stats. Leases are +1%. Condo leases are condo leases are up 8%. I was reading how the condo lease market was slowing down, and here it's up 8%. So that's good news. And freehold leases are actually down 9%. Interesting. Okay, January 3rd. Rules have changed. And if you look at when you look at the new listings, when you get the 2024 new listings, when you get out the new listing form, there's going to be a highlighted part in there saying that any MLS listing that is listed has to be on the MLS system in 3 days. So you can't have a coming soon sign. No, sorry, you can't have a coming soon sign. You can have coming soon MLS, where it might be, but it has to be as soon as you put that sign on the yard, it has to be on MLS in 3 days. As soon as you post that property for sale on Facebook or Instagram or hey, new listing, as soon as you advertise it, it has to be on MLS in 3 days. If you have for some reason a client that wants to be secretive or wants to keep an exclusive listing, wants to keep it under the table, doesn't want anybody to know that the neighbor doesn't know anyone what's for sale, then that's fine. Then you can advertise that property through email, one agent at a time within the office. And outside the office, same thing, one agent at a time. You can't post it to a website, you can't post it to a board, it has to be one-on-one communication.
And that client also has to sign something, I think, that says that they don't want it on MLS with a form.
Just MLS. I'm not sure what that. Okay with that? Everybody's okay with that?
So that's not a TRESA rule, by the way.
That's a career rule, right? Yeah. Investor. I'm just going to go read just stuff here. I talked about Brampton prices being below $1 million. So they actually peaked in Brampton. They peaked at $1.367 million in February 22. And today the price is $999. So it's actually dropped $360,000. That was from February. And in the January 2021, the price was $971. So it's actually gone up a little bit from January 2021, but it's definitely gone down almost 30%. All properties, all types in Brampton. So when you got sellers saying that they want what the neighbor got 2 months ago, it's pretty hard to, it's pretty hard to convince them we're not going to get it. So let's make sure you get a long listing, I guess. Investors, I've said this before, and now the papers picked it up. The papers are saying investors now own 50% of Toronto's new condos. Forget about new condos. Investors own 50% of all properties for sale. Of the 17,000 listings that are listed right now, 8,500 of them are properties that are tenanted or vacant. So it tells me that a lot of investors are cashing out. Does anybody have clients like that? Investor clients? No. No. Okay. And of course, on this paper here, they're blaming the investors for jacking up the prices because the investors sucked up all the inventory, and they're the ones that are setting the rates for rents. So that's what they're blaming the private investors for that. But what they should be blaming, and I guess the article is talking about, they are blaming the federal government and the provincial governments for not doing their job. Years ago, CMHC was involved with housing, and for some reason, CMHC is not doing what they used to do. Anybody who's been around a long time knows that in Melbourne and in Brampton and other places, but Melbourne in particular, land leases. What the government did way back in the 70s is that the government, the federal government, CMHC, bought land. They bought 100 acres up in Melbourne, and they built all these houses. Let builders go in and build the houses, and what they did is they sold the house without the land to the buyers. So the price was in half. Because half of it would be your land and half would be the house. So they really made affordability a real thing. And then what they did on the land part, they let the owners lease the land over a period of time. They paid off the land lease over 25 years.
99 years.
99 years. I think it was 25. It was 25 years in Melbourne. So this is if you're talking about politicians, these are the types of real things they can start doing to make real differences instead of doing what they're doing now. That makes sense? That's what the article talks about there. I don't want to talk about this. This is kind of fun. Just a simple little, okay, this is my house. This is some guy listed a property and this is his just listed part. Everybody has something different, right? Did you know your neighbors at this particular property know what they did last night? They listed their house. And it goes on to talk about how they list it and how you can list it. Kind of simple little thing, right? It's just, so you don't have to get all fancy, which you talk about professional photographers and all these things you're doing there, and just get something out there, right? Simple little thing. For those sellers that Elio's got a client that took his property off because he wants to get what he got 2 months ago. These are things that you want to show them. This is the Toronto Star again. This is people read newspapers. I'm just taking this right out of the papers. It's all public information. It says here that Toronto house prices is expected to drop next year. So that's something you want to show your clients. Say the price is going to drop here. I don't know what you're thinking. Prices drop.
Interest rates drop, they expect the price to drop.
Prices are going to drop.
Depends who we are telling here, seller or buyer.
There's always two. Calgary, is anybody okay? I'm too old now. Everything I do 1990. This half the people, you guys were even born. Half of you guys were even born. 1990 is very similar to what right now. 1990, the market was so strong, and then what people started doing at 89, 1988, 1989, they started buying properties in Barrie, started buying properties in Calgary, started buying properties in Pickering at the time, which at that time was Pickering was like a
Long distance.
like Newcastle, right? It was far away. So these guys were all doing that. So now I'm reading here that Calgary sees another home sales gain. Prices are up 11% in November in Calgary, and the reason why it is a lot of condominiums are selling. The condominiums have sold up, they're up 50%. I know Toronto guys are buying pre-construction and they're buying condos in Calgary. So this is the exact same thing. Guys are coming from Ontario and they're all buying Calgary. This is what's going on right now. So deja vu all over again, right? But Calgary is being what? Calgary would be the fourth largest city in Canada? No, it'd be Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, Calgary. Right? No, Calgary would be bigger. Anyways, they had even though they had an 8% increase, they still only had 2,200 sales. So it's not a big market. Okay, and Realm. So now we're almost finished TRESA and Realms. Everybody okay with Realm? Everybody's using Realm. Everybody's starting to use Realm. I got to tell you guys that if you want to practice Realm, do nothing. If you're not going to do anything else, at least do this. Set yourself up as a client, as a prospect match. See what it does. Once you understand what it does, then you'll be able to send it to your clients. But you know what I mean? So that'd be the first thing I'd want to do, because that's going to be your biggest challenge when you switch from Stratus over to Realm. Biggest challenge you're going to have is your prospect searches. Unfortunately, when you do prospect search under Realm, it abides by the Castle rules, which is the Canadian anti-spam legislation, which prohibits you from sending emails to people without their permission. And this law has been in there for 10 years. So when you send out automatic emails, they have to cancel. So that's a problem you're gonna have with Realm. So that's my suggestion, that we get Realm going. Put yourself on there, give yourself a search, and get used to it that way. All right. Oh, whose price what you drop next? No. I think I already did that one. 75,495 agents on Toronto Real Estate Board. You know what she's talking about?
Yes. So starting today, I saw today's as kind of advanced, but we're going to be sending out marketing ideas for 12 days of Christmas. Today's was on brand guidelines. So that's if you have certain branding and how to incorporate colors, font, things like that. So Katelyn's going to be sending that out, I think, every day for the next 12 days.
She's sending this out,
Yeah.
or is this
It's
digital marketing?
It's from a
template?
marketing company. We're just going to forward it.
Yeah, leave that in your hands.
Yeah.
So exactly what she was talking about here. So we've created up like the 12 days of Christmas. So somehow, I don't know, Central now did it or we did it. the digital thing?
It's a marketing company.
Okay, so it's a marketing company's gonna
Yeah.
do it. So Caitlin's gonna forward that to you, just this little bricks and things, right?
Yeah.
For the next next 12 days, huh?
Yeah. And then we have the holiday nook from December 12th to probably sometime at the end of December. We'll be here in the boardroom. So there's a Calendly link if you want to book that for take your own content or if you want to invite a client. Our stager, Rahi from Feather Staging, is going to set up a little holiday corner for you.
We okay with that?
Well,
Take pictures of yourself too, right?
Yeah,
Bring your gang in, bring your family. Does anybody do anymore? They take pictures of their own family and send
Some
it
are.
out as a Christmas party?
Mhm.
Toronto's rent crisis is getting so bad that hotels are offering month-long stays for cheap. Don Valley Parkway for $2,000, you can rent a place for a month. So if you got clients in between moves, you got clients like that in between moves, like they're in between, like they're going to be stuck, and then what, Airbnb for a month or two, something like that. Why don't you just do a hotel thing? You don't have to worry about anything. Not a bad option. And just go back to wellness plan, just so everybody understands. It's a $50,000 life insurance policy that goes up to $100,000 if you're less than 65 years old. See how we spun that? Make it a positive instead of negative, right? And you've got a $25,000 critical illness, which again disappears after time. And you've got your prescriptions and medical supplies up to $2,000 for your coverage. So that's okay. And if you've got family members, you can actually add on to that program. You can go to the insurance program and see what they're all talking about.
You haven't sent anything to sign or do anything.
That's right.
Before they charge you.
Well, they haven't charged you yet. They sent you an invoice.
They charge you already. So they have to do-
Okay, so high tech. Who likes high tech? Who doesn't? I think Trev's getting a little crazy with their high tech, but here's the latest thing coming down the tubes. Coming to Realm, audio listings. Did anybody read that? And I want to know whose voice it is. And it starts off here. This is Trev, and you guys tell me. It says here, we're listening. Trev is listening to us and continuously adding more features based on your feedback. With show of hands, who's ever asked Trev for anything? One? Would you ask him for a lunch?
Lucky they picked up.
You ask him a question? Well, somebody's been asking them all these questions and they're anxious to help. So what they're going to do, strengthen your connection with clients and unlock more real estate insights than ever before with new artificial intelligence technology coming to you. So they're going to get involved with the AI. So on Thursday, February 29th is when Realm comes in. So here's what we're going to talk about. Soon all listings meaning all listings, will include an embedded audio file. This will allow you to hear the key features of the listing summarized out loud.
No one wants to listen to that.
So somebody's going to go to realtor.ca and then rather than reading the description, the computer is going to read it to them. So it's got to be not your voice. First of all, I was concerned it was going to be your guy's voice having to voice over all this stuff. And I'm thinking, no way that's going to happen. So the computer is going to read for your client the description, which leads me to believe that when you're writing out your descriptions and you put EFT or VTB or LOL or where does the computer going to know what these things are? Hmm? And then the other thing, which this one's got legs, I think, this is called the REST-TB AI, and that's the one where it'll scan photos. So you're going to be able to use a filter. You're going to be able to say, okay, I want you to scan the photos, and I want you to find a kitchen that looks like this picture. That's kind of cool. So if somebody wants a black kitchen, white kitchen, or whatever it might be, then the computer will search photos that match that description. We're listening. continually adding more features. I don't know. We'll see. Sometimes high tech is to be high tech. All right, can we do share screen? I want to introduce you to a couple things here. Now, has anybody had any issues at all? We already had the very first day. This I'm going to lie a little bit. It's not the truth, but it's the story that counts, right? Friday morning, no, Thursday night. Friday morning, I get to say I had to send his agent what to do. So the agent has a buyer. That buyer, I assume, is under BRA. And the BRA would have been signed before December the 1st. So it'd be a brokerage representation, not a designated representation. The seller says, I'll pay a commission, but I'm not signing them. So what is that seller now? Self-represented. And what the lawyer's telling us is to write a commission agreement. He's not going to sign a listing agreement, but he'll sign a commission agreement to pay commission. Unfortunately, on the new laws, we're not allowed to get paid by unrepresented people. So I tell him what you have to do, even though he's unrepresented, you have to send him, all parties, both the buyer and the seller, you got to send a RICO information guide. This is up here behind me. So he's got to send the information RICO guide. So follow my story, okay? So one of our agents has a buyer and has a FSBO seller. Oh, I should add one more thing to that. FSBO seller is commercial. And this is the very first deal we're doing. So it's a commercial deal for sale by owner, double end, multiple representation. It's also multiple representation. So I sent this to the agent. I said, just fill it all the boxes. Because it's everything, right? So let's go down that road. RICO information guide. I'm going to do that. Can you go? I sent you that attachment.
There's a big screen.
Yeah. All right, so I have to send the RICO information guide. Now, you can take that information guide, you can save it as a PDF, and you can send it to your clients or potential clients as an attachment. Keep a copy of that. You sent it to them, and you're done. Or you may prefer to do this, because if you read that form, the form itself has in the last page acknowledgement that they've read it. So there's a form. It's not mandatory, but it's acknowledgement. So don't get confused, but still. So you send the PDF as an attachment, or go to the RICO website. RICO website is ricoinfoguide.ca. So you can send your client that link if you like, or you can do what we're going to do here. When you go to the RICO site, this is the normal RICO site. You're going to go to the agents and brokerages. You're going to hit that button, and the drop down screen is going to be TRESA explained. So you can do that. Then you can go to the next screen. You're going to select the RICO online tool. And we can send this to people.
Yeah, I'll send it today.
After you've selected the online tool, then you're going to have an option to do, if it's a person self-directed, in my case, in my agent's case, he's going to have to send, because the guy's self-represented, you have to send him another form saying, oh, by the way, RICO requires you to acknowledge this form saying that you're self-represented, and it tells you all the pitfalls of being self-represented. Let's just go back to here for now. So you're going to go to the left side. Information guide. We're going to send information guide to both clients. Have to send information guide both to the seller and the buyer, right? And this is where I'm going to send it this case. So I'm going to select that part there. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to put the client's name in there, email address.
This is on the RICO.
This is on the RICO website. So I'm going to put in the information, and as soon as I hit send, I'm going to get this email back. And it says here that this person received the RICO information guide. Received it. Just like when you sent them an email, same thing. But this will go an extra step. As soon as they've opened it, not read it, open up the link, I'm going to get a second email saying acknowledge that they opened it up.
That's enough.
That's enough. You've got to change that link or change this email. You got to save that email, because after 60 days or 90 days, whatever it is, Rico will delete it,
The link.
the link. So that's why you need to have something saved somewhere that you've sent it to. Anything else?
And then after that, you get the form, and then they go to see them, they talk, you have facility they can see that. When they open it, if they start acknowledge, so we will get the confirmation saying that the kind acknowledge.
That's what we just showed there. Yeah.
They have.
Yeah, we showed that the two emails. One is they open, one is they acknowledge it.
Good.
Technically, we are supposed to explain everything in that guide as well. So we will leave that to your discretion how you do that, but that's part of it also is we have to be explaining it.
So sticking with me now. So now on the listing side, Mr. Seller, okay, I'm gonna have to go to him and work it with the realtor. He's got to sign the new work with the realtor. And the buyer has to sign work with the realtor as well. And the two cities they have to decide, do I want to be represented or not want to be represented? So I'm either represented or I'm gonna be self-represented. That's the working with the realtor. If they're self-represented, which would be the very rare case, then you're going to slip over to the right side on this program here. So the self-represented party. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because it's going to be very rare.
Yeah.
I can't imagine anybody being self-represented. Why it's going to be rare, I'll tell you right now. So on the right side, you've got the seller represented party, SRP, RICO information guide. As soon as they decide on the working with the realtor, they decide they want to be self-represented, like my guy was. Just send me a commission report. I'm not gonna, just give me an offer. I'm not gonna do anything. So now he's gonna be self-represented. So we gotta get him to underneath the self-represented side. We've got to go to the RICO information disclosure, mandatory field. Two mandatory fields are information guide and the self-represented guide. Both the mandatory fields are from RICO, and they have to acknowledge them both. So you're gonna get that signed. And then if you actually do an offer, then you have to get both the buyer and the seller to consent. Even though you've explained the work of the realtor, you've explained representation. Now they decide to be self-represented. Now you got to give them another form that's called the seller or buyer self-represented party. In this case, our buyers represented, not our seller. So we're going to give a seller represented party. Again, this is a TREB form, a RIO form. So the seller is going to acknowledge that he's self-represented, and then because he's paying us money, and I said, even though he's self-represented, but he's paying us money, you can't get paid without getting acknowledgement. So you're going to get what's called a seller's limited service agreement that agrees to pay you. And then you're done, right?
Yeah, ish.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Why do we have to advertise physical for the seller?
You don't have.
I mean, no, by telling them like as you have a right to self-represent, you're telling them will be a physical.
Well, you're gonna show them the value though, still of using you as a real.
People don't look at it.
Okay, so on the information guide, if they read it, then it explains them all the different options. So you can't get around it.
It will explain the risks of being self-rep. They don't promote it. They're not advocating for it. They're going to explain, you're going to have to do this yourself, do this yourself. You don't have representation. They're not advocating for it, but they are explaining the risks.
I understand, but this is what it's going to end up. That's what it means.
So sticking to the chart now. If I've got my buyer, because my buyer is going to start this ball rolling in my particular case. So my buyer, which would be the offer side, information guide, RICO information guide, right? Work with the realtor, we've done that. Now they decide they want to work with us. Now you're going to put a buyer's disclosure acknowledgement, which is an office form. And all that form just says is that I'm not working with anybody else. I'm not putting offers with anybody else, nothing else. So I use that later on. It's an optional form, but I use it later on if we get in trouble with arbitration. Then we ask for it.
It's not a new form. This is already in your.
So it's already in there. Then you got your BRA. You've got to do a BRA because of represent the buyer. Got to do my FinTrack, offers and forms, everything else. Now the girls downstairs, the CSR downstairs, they've uploaded the Ontario forms editable. The Toronto Real Estate Board, which has the Toronto logo, they're not prepared yet. So they're going through all the Ontario forms first, then they'll go to the individual boards later on. So this time, maybe Next month, month after, we'll probably change the forms, but for today, we're using Ontario forms.
And is this for sale and lease?
Both, yeah, lease as well. All the stuff's released too, except for FinTrack, right? But I would do FinTrack releases anyways, because you want to know who they are, right? Disclosure forms, okay, so.
Yeah.
This is a new form. Now you've got a disclosure form if you're gonna buy yourself, you got a disclosure form if you're gonna sell yourself. You guys are familiar with those forms already. Right? You're gonna buy yourself, you have to disclose, you sell yourself, you have to disclose. Those forms are still there.
The only difference though is you have to actually say what you're using that property for. So if you're buying something for yourself, you have to actually say if you're gonna live in it, rent it out, what the purpose of it is.
Correct. So the disclosure forms used to be, hey, I'm an agent. That's my disclosure. That's not, it was never the intent, and it was never proper. That's what people did. Which you have to put on there that I'm buying it for myself for what purpose? I'm gonna move in myself, I'm gonna move my kid myself, I'm gonna tear the house down, I'm gonna renovate the house, resell it, I'm gonna, what is it you're gonna be doing with that house? And then we have this part here, which is the disclosure acknowledgement. And anybody took the courses, who took the course? Anybody read any webinars yet? Who's done webinars? Everybody? All the above? Okay, remember they talked about disclosure has to be very clear and writing disclosure. This is office disclosure form. They never gave us a form, so we had to create our own. If this is really bad, I'm not sure you guys remember this or not. If there's something in there's a latent defect. Latent defect is what? So latent defect is a defect that it's a defect, but a normal person walking into the house wouldn't see it. Even a home inspector wouldn't see it. Right? So you have to disclose that. You have to disclose material facts. Material fact is a fact that a buyer would consider before purchasing the property. And that comes into the area of somebody dying. And I said that I get the arguments all the time. 90-year-old grandma died upstairs in the bedroom. It's a natural cause. No hanky panky. 90 years old. What's the disclose?
Oh, yes.
So some people would say that the grandma died. What's the disclose? Right? But the fact is, it's a material fact. It's not up to us or up to your seller to decide whether or not that fact needs to be disclosed or not. It's up to the buyer to decide whether it bothers them or not. That's why it has to be disclosed. Here's the killer. You do an inspection. Inspection fails because of vermiculite. You put it back on the market. Guess what? You have to disclose it has vermiculite. Everybody follow me there? What did we do in the past? If you did a home inspection failed because of vermiculite. What did we do in the past? We put it back in the market and let the next guy find it?
Yep. Let them do their own inspection.
Isn't that what we did?
Mhm.
So in the future, right? We've had one where somebody died in the house. This goes back years, and it's not going to happen again. Anyways, the buying agent bought the house, and there was a death in the house. But when they go to sell the house, they did not disclose there was a death in the house with the same agent they listed with. Agent got taken to task, was fined $5,000 for not disclosing it. And that was 20 years ago. So today the fine probably $20,000.
50,000.
$50.
Just kidding.
You know what I meant by how long means. Like
Doesn't matter how long.
somebody died 30 years, 40 years.
Doesn't matter if you're aware of it. It's not up for you to decide whether 30 years is okay and 25 is not. Okay. So any disclosures to be done this. Hopefully you won't have any disclosure. I don't see it that often, but it's there anyways that we have it.
And if you're on the buyer side, the listing brokerage should have their own version of that. So if they don't, you could technically use ours, or they may not have anything to disclose, but this is our form if you're on the listing side, but if you're on the buyer side, they should have their own.
So we got the for disclosures. Okay, disclosure forms did that. Mortgage verification. The form has always been there. You should always double check the mortgage verification, particularly if somebody has a private mortgage. You want to find out what is it going to cost to discharge that mortgage. It may not cost anything. But in shifting mortgage rates, as the rates go down, so if somebody has a 6% mortgage, and come next spring, if he sells the house and it's a 5% mortgage, let's say it's $1 million mortgage, the 1% difference would be $10,000 difference over 2 years left in the mortgage. It's gonna cost the guy $20,000 to get rid of that mortgage. So always do the mortgage verification.
That's not a new form either. That's an existing form. I get this question a lot, Claire. What happens if my client doesn't want to fill out the details?
Then you're gonna take that form, you're gonna cross off and say decline and date it and put your name on there. So you ask the question, they decline. Cover your butt, right? And some clients will tell you, just so you know, the way that the internet is now, some clients say, don't worry about it, I know what mortgage is. You don't have to do a mortgage verification, I already know. You know what they know? They go online, they find out how much money they owe. They find out what the current balance is of that mortgage. They don't, what we're asking for is not the current, well, we like the current balance. What we're asking for is what's the discharge penalties. And that online website will not have that. Are you okay with that? Mortgage verification. Okay, the next one, you got the privacy box. We changed it a little bit. Some people got confused. Tenants or buyers got confused. What do we care about lock boxes? So we kind of split the two to make that a little easier. And then we finally we're still on the buyer side.
You kind of skipped over a little bit.
Okay, we're on the buyer side. Okay.
Yeah.
Receipt of funds. You still need the receipt of funds. We talked about that. And okay, broker communication. All right. On the listing side, same thing, same forms. Disclosures, Schedule A's, Schedule A on the listing agreement. So the new form, we have a Schedule A. We're not going to put Schedule A on the listing. So listing right now, for the schedule, it's blank. So if you guys are going to add a schedule, you've got to add A or B or whatever it might be to the listing schedule. And on the listing schedule for a listing, it has to be what you've promised. What have you promised to do with these people? If you promised to anything that costs you money, if you promised to talk about door knocking, or you're going to phone call the area, or things that are just mechanical or work. I'm not talking about disclosing that stuff. I'm talking about stuff that costs money. I'm going to stage the house at my cost, my expense. I'm going to stage the house at your expense. I'm going to stage the house at your expense, and I'll pay it back when the house sells. That's the preferred one, right? I'm going to pay for your lawyer's fees. I'm going to paint the house. I'm going to. What did one guy do? I read one guy's thing. So he's going to put it on TV. He's going to free staging, free lawyer, free moving. What else? What else going to do? Free photography, free drones, feature sheets. And for 1% commission and guaranteed to sell. Anyways, and then call for details. So a guy like that, even though his sign says all those things, when it comes to the listing, he has to actually put right on that schedule what it is that they're doing. So I think we're okay with that. We should be okay.
Just be super careful too. Like someone from rural area today mentioned drone photography. So you may promise drone photography, but then they're in a no-fly zone. So just be really careful, because then the client's gonna say, well, you promised me drone and now we can't do drone. So you may want to say if the service is available, or just double check it before you promise. So just be very careful. Don't overpromise. Yes.
I would expect it probably around Malton.
And anywhere around military bases.
Yeah, anywhere Button Airport,
Yeah.
like in Markham, you've got the Buttonville Airport. It's not closed today.
Not yet.
No. But give me a Schedule A. We're going to give you Schedule A, but it's going to be blank.
We're gonna in your packages just give you a blank one and leave it to you to fill it out. We don't want to confuse you with too many details.
And this thing's fluid too. I can change my mind later on.
That's true. We might change
I can
tomorrow.
create I tell you what I wanted to do on Schedule A, but I got voted. I wanted to put 99 things that we do to sell a house.
That's a good thing, because
But you have to do all 99. No, but you have to do all 99. That's why if I put it on Schedule A, some people don't want to do 99, and I don't want to do 99. So the guy's going to pay us discounted commission.
I think we should have one.
The guy's not paying 2.5% commission. I think we get nothing. Pardon?
We should have an official office listing format.
Well, that's what I was just saying, but
Everybody
yeah.
carry that.
Sure, it's gonna be 6% commission and no staging, no painting,
You
nothing.
write it for me and then give it to everybody and edit and give it back to me when it's finished.
Sure.
Okay, Rico has, if you really want to get educated on the site, Rico has a update course. It's called the TRESA update course. You can actually go to it now, and it's credited towards your next round of courses for your CEO courses.
Oh, it's valid for next year?
Yeah, or you can actually get the free version that's not valid, but the free version I like because I don't have to go through all the crap about listening to this person talk. I can immediately go to chapter 4 or chapter 5 without having to listen to it all.
You don't want it to count towards your mandatory?
No, I don't care about it. So I'm going back and forth, but it is there if you want to get into it. But if you go to that, it's going to tell you a couple of things that you got to be careful about. One of it says here is that showing a property, this is the quiz that you take. Showing a property to a person when you are not representing the seller is a service to that person. Remember, this would be assistance because you must have a client in the trade to provide assistance. In this case, seller is not your client. If you provide the service showing the property to the person must be treated as a client. Leading practice is to enter an agreement with the person for the specific service showing the particular property. What the heck is that? So what they'll have you believe is that you can't show that property without a agreement, and I disagree. So this is how I expect you to do it. Somebody phones you up and they want to see a property, it's not your listing, you're going to show them that property, and it's called implied representation.
So you're gonna give them a RICO guide first?
You're going to give them the RICO guide before you show the property. Right? He's going to read the RICO guide, you're going to show him the property. At the end of that showing, you're going to say, okay, right now it's implied, you're not going to tell them it's implied representation, but basically it is, because you're giving them the service. So now you just want to clean it up with paperwork. So if you like the person, they like you, do what you always did. Give them a sign of PRA. Even for the one property, two properties, whatever it might be, but you want to have that initial contact and it's implied representation. So you are showing the property. They're not saying you can't show the property. They're saying here that it's implied representation. So last thing I want everybody to do is I can't show that property unless you sign this PRA. We've never said that. I've never said that. These guys have said that 1,000 times, but we're not saying that.
I will say, if you're meeting somebody that you don't know, random online sign call, and you want to try to get a BRA, there's nothing, it protects yourself, but we're just suggesting that you don't have to. It depends on you and your style and your strategy and what you want that relationship to look like.
Because right now, you have not explained to them the information guide. You have not shown them the working for the realtor. They haven't made a decision. So they're nobody. I called them a prospect before. People get confused about prospects.
They haven't declared what representation they want yet.
On the webinar, they were saying that you can show it. The guy was saying you can show it, but so you don't have to get a sign. If they signed it, VRA, that's it. Like I said, Golden State thing. It said you're done your job. That's your dream is. Because the whole point is you can show it.
Yeah, but what they say is you can show it to your own seller. They never talk about this part. They never talk about this stuff.
Ray did a little bit, and
Ray
this, the Ray Ferris one.
What about, can you send that slide that you said?
Yeah.
To multiple people at the same time?
No.
To Rico?
Why would you want to do that? Yeah, you could. I don't care. Yeah,
You could, but then
it's pretty good information. If anybody's doing a first time home buyer seminar, by the way, I would take that RICO information guide and I would read it. There's your seminar.
Why not?
Or if you're doing this TikTok stuff and that, just what she said, you want to give current news, I would give them current news and do a little 30-second blast and just read the information guide. That's all you're doing.
It's good content.
Designated representation. I'm not going to make a policy just yet. I don't like it. I think designated representation is ties your hands. But all the other brokers I'm talking to in the city, they love it. So okay, I'll let them. So if there is multi-representation, all you have to do is ask the listing agent, are you a designated representation or not? And then that way you fill out your confirmation of representation the way it needs to be filled out. And later on, we'll make a decision probably once we feel what's going on and what the general feel is. But if you don't fill out that part, that's fine. If you do fill it out, that's fine. If you did fill it out and you're a team leader, this is for team leaders, be careful. Team leaders would have buyers, and the buyers would put the buyer's agent would put their name on that BRA, which means that they're the designated representation, not the lead agent. So you got to put the lead agent's name and the buyer's agent's name, and probably the secretary if they're licensed. One thing I want to talk about here is on the listing side, same thing. If you're gonna do designated representation, that's fine. Just make sure you put your name there and make sure you put someone else's name there that's licensed, that's gonna have access to the file.
To help you.
One question that will come up, and I'll answer it right now. There's 4 names. Let's say there's Shiv's name's on the listing agreement, and he's got Kathy, his assistant, because she's licensed. And he might have another agent that wants to help on the listing side, he'll add that. So he's gonna have 3 names on that listing agreement. When it comes to MLS, nobody's talked about it, but I just want to see Shiv's name on it, nobody else's. Even though the agreement has 3 different names on it. The phone was talking about, nobody's addressed this yet, but I want to know on MLS whose name shows up on MLS. Right now, I'm saying the lead agent or you.
Sometimes they write it in the comments.
No, but the rules are different though, because it's designated representation. I don't know whether designated representation has to be disclosed on MLS. Right? It has the listing agent, but I'm not sure what the designated rep. So, anyways,
I think designate the broker.
no, brokerage is not a person.
Well, you could leave it blank.
You leave it blank, and the brokerage covers it.
Just don't fill out the designated.
Leave it blank, then that's it. The other thing about designated representation is, and they're quite serious about this, is that it's private, and you're not allowed to share any information from your client. In other words, you can't go over to one of these meetings and say, my client bought firm, they're desperate. If it was brokerage and not filled out, yes, you can, because we're all trying to help sell that one property. But if you've elected to do the designated representation, that information is private, you can't share it. I just say it's taped and I recorded it. Questions? 141. Okay, so any questions?
Something on Facebook.
Status quo?
With the existing listings.
Yeah. All existing contracts remain the same until March 31st, 2024, at which time it automatically will be terminated.
Should you though send repo information guides to your existing contracted people?
Sure, because they haven't bought anything.
Or if it's a live listing that was before December 1st, you can still send them the
No.
guide. But your purchasers, yes.
For sure.
If you're the self-representative client, before you said you can only show your own listing, but now you're saying you can still get it through the other broker listing.
Yes.
Is it legal?
Yes. So Bill's question is, can you show somebody a property that's not your listing? Is that your question?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I'm saying here is that, yes, I would show that property, but I understand that it's implied representation because you're showing a property, give them the service. But you haven't explained it, you haven't given them the guide yet, and you haven't shown working with the realtor. So until they've done that part, but I was certainly showing the one property. If you like them, then move on. If you don't like them, I wouldn't sign anything, just want to take a hike. What about the guy that phones you up and says, hey, I want to see your property and I expect to get half your commission back? Does anybody get those calls?
Yes.
So you can hide behind TRESA and say it's not allowed.
Yeah, use it to your advantage in those cases.
To say I'd like to help you there, but it's not allowed because yes.
I don't do that.
Think about it. Because you got a listing. So what would be the script? Any comment? No. Some guy phones you up and says, I'm only dealing with the listing agent because I expect to get half your commission
I would
back.
say no problem. I'd love to represent you and I'm going to help you get the best price you can.
I have the right answer, but it's kind of foul.
What's the right answer?
Right answer is, right answer is, okay, I'll meet you at the house at 12 o'clock, and then don't.
And don't show.
Just say I'm not allowed to work with you unless they get paid. I wouldn't do it.
Anything on Facebook? I didn't see any questions.
So just do what you did. Don't get all don't find reasons not to do what you did, but now we need to have writing, everything's in writing, everything's full.
And use this as your guide if you're not sure. We'll always be editing it, so I'll send a new, we already edited it yesterday, I'll send a new one today, but this is your guide now.
Have we sent this out yet?
Yep, but I'm gonna send a new one today.
Oh,
I'll probably send it every day.
We revised it just a little bit. Did anybody, has anybody looked at this worksheet before? Did it make any sense to anybody? Or is it okay? It's all there, no
I checked the
confusions.
forms, nothing's been changed, they haven't updated our, like, if I had a, like as a kid over there, it hasn't been updated.
Our internal personal ones. No, I have not done our Google Drive or SkySlope yet.
Not yours, even mine, which is, I created it, it's not being changed.
That won't change. You'll have to redo it.
Yeah, I have to do.
You have to do it from scratch.
Manually yourself,
Yeah.
myself, I know, I
Yeah.
checked it yesterday.
Yeah, no, they won't. change
Nothing
that.
changed.
Yeah.
So we have some folks there, nobody here, I'm sure, but we have some folks that Jeremy tells me they're using forms from 2021 and 2020.
Way earlier. She told me 2003 he's seen.
So what that tells me is that somebody has set up their templates
Yeah.
and they got it all ready to go. So they have to do is fill in the name, away they go. But you have to change all your templates. These things will all change.
It's just that web forms will automatically updating itself,
Yes.
but in here, there's nothing updated.
So would web forms update your kits?
No,
Yeah.
No.
I don't
No,
think
no,
they will.
before, even the web form that we had a kid over there, it was updating itself, but in here, it doesn't update. itself.
Platform block.
I think, are you talking about SkySlope?
Yeah.
Yes, no, yeah, that's not as sophisticated.
Yeah, but they have the access to the other one providing and everything. So they should be updated.
I'm thinking the transaction kits would just save as a file. It wouldn't be connected to the main program. I think it's just a standalone file.
But we will update our own Google Drive for you. It's in web forms right now, and the girls have all updated copies. So if you ask them for a package or forms, they will have the new ones.
Anything else? Anybody have any problems you want to talk about?
Say, semi-detached, where that was the bridge. 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, is that 1.1,
It's a good price.
yeah, home office.
Okay. So 1.1 seems like, what's
Well,
your,
there's like a dump around the corner, stigmatized with like drugs and all that, up for 1.1, thought the thing. And this one's original owners for the well that goes with the nice. Green buyers.
They're out there.
1.2 for semi and Willowdale? Yeah, it's good.
Well, I don't know, honestly, they hardly ever saw some, they all detached, can't get in that neighborhood, started 1.5.
Yeah. Good deal. Anybody else? Lizzie's the one talking about?
I'm suggesting if anybody has a buyer to buy anything, check with exclusive costs. And then. I don't know. Your final one, that's it.
Some of your property?
I'm also then in general, right? Yeah.
Okay, folks, all right, all done. Anything else? Anything else?